Good music comes from people who are relaxed. Just hit a button, Mark. Give me a beat.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. You gotta get swifty. You gotta get swifty in here. It's time to get swifty.
Get swifty? What the hell is that?
It's Red Shovel Network's
best effort, that's what.
Take off your pants and your panties. Shit on the floor. Time to get swifty in here. I'm ML Elric.
Don't analyze it,
Sean.
It's working.
Take a shit on the floor. Time to get swifty in here.
You asked interrogative questions.
Out of my face.
It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Albert?
Now, I know that little ditty didn't sound like very much, just a little get swifty, but it did save the earth. So, you know, there's no accounting for taste, but I think this week's guest would have a complaint about it because it's all drum machine, which is anathema to him. I'm referring, of course, to Ben Blackwell, East Side rock god. He was back with vinyl before the rest of us, impresario at Third Man Records, and all about man about town here in Detroit and also in Nashville. So he's a dude who's got a lot of stories, and we're going to get to those in just a minute. But first, I wanted to introduce the folks you've come to know and feel so much contempt for over these many, many long days. That's Mark Fellhauer, our producer and co-pilot. First, I wanted to introduce.
Oh, hey! You get to listen to yourself again.
Sean, a little mixed mind, it's beautiful.
What's
and Sean
going
Windsor
on?
of the Detroit Free Press.
I get to hear Mike twice.
Just the way he likes it.
It's like refried beans. Just it's more gas. And behind the scenes, Joe is somehow making this come together, and we'll be joined shortly by a man you may have seen on the highway honking at you for driving like shit. The funniest trucker that we could find. It was not an exhaustive search, I have to confess. Mr. Matt Jennings, who will join us later with This Week in Soft History. But the reason we're here, the reason we're able to come back to you every week is because of our sponsors. And first and foremost is Roy O'Brien Ford. I was just there after the show last week. Thank goodness I got some new tires. Got a $70 rebate on those, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, thank God you're good.
Yeah, because with this weather, man, you do not want to mess around. Rubber is the most important thing between you and the road. And if you're looking for a new ride, service, repairs, or even just a top-notch oil change,
Where should I go?
Ford,
Roy O'Brien? All right.
That is the place to go, Mark. Thank you for following the show so closely. You probably know that my mom bought a Ford Focus wagon there. She's still driving it. We're up to about 112,000 miles. And she's still very satisfied with that purchase. And she's not alone. Roy O'Brien has been taking care of customers for nearly 75 years from the corner of 9 Mile and Mack in St. Clair Shores. Why don't you get on that right track? Or just visit Roy O'Brien Ford. That's royobrien.com. That's their online presence, ROYOBRIEN.com. And check out Fast Track, which lets you choose your vehicle and options. And that's not all. You can pick your deal, lease, finance, or cash, and get the value of your trade-in. Apply for financing and schedule delivery for your ride. If you go in person, they're very serious about protecting you and their employees. Social distancing is enforced. Masks are enforced. Lots of sanitizer. And if that doesn't make you feel safe enough, you can get in the seat of a F-150 and just drive over.
Are you ad-libbing?
That's when we're in danger.
Some of this is stream of consciousness, Sean.
Okay.
This is from the heart.
All of it.
Okay. But we want to, promote the fine dealership.
Now that I got those new Continentals, I mean, and that's the other thing about these tires. I picked the tires and I called them and said, "Can you get me these tires?" And they said, "Yes, we can." And they were just as cheap as I found them on Tire Rack, except they install them too. So it was a real bargain. So anyways,
what is this an ad for? Tire Rack?
Enough of this Yaz. Get to royobrien.com, go there in person, or call 888-566-5851 and be sure to tell them that despite Sean's interruptions, ML's mom's son told you to go see them and talk to them.
Is that like the fourth person you're speaking in there?
I don't want to lower myself to your level on this, sir. Roy O'Brien Ford, sweet as hell. That's how it works.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. Lovely strategy.
Hook
the listeners with all this great content and then go to the sponsors. Yeah.
Wait,
Nice.
Sean, couldn't you be stuck in traffic a little longer? We're making such wonderful progress here. I also have to give you a quick plug since I'm wearing my sweet beanie. Our swag is available at the DrewandMikeStore.com. It ships in time for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, several other holidays for non-believers, and it's always there in time for the atheist holidays. So you can believe in nothing, but you can believe in that. Right? Does that make sense, Sean?
Sure.
I wasn't listening.
Total
Sorry.
sense.
It's on the note you sent me.
Let's get to Ben.
Right after when it says, take me.
Focus.
Sorry. Okay. Ben had a flat tire, so he knows the frustration
That's true.
that many of our guests know, except he had it before he got on the show. But he's back on the road and joining us now from, I'm understanding, cold and miserable Nashville. That's cool. I'm glad everybody's dealing with this dog shit today.
Was that my intro? The dog shit today? Yeah. Nice to be here.
Yeah. Well, you said this was your second rodeo, so we'd figured we'd get you out of the chute right away and see if you could hang on.
What isn't there a personal history here between you two? What's the personal?
Yeah, can you imagine walking into a respectable college class and this guy is your teacher? That's where the relationship starts.
He wants everybody to suffer. That's all I know.
Yeah. So I met Ben in my first semester teaching journalism at Wayne State University, and
That was your first semester? Oh, I didn't
you
know
couldn't
that.
tell? That's when I walked in as a fairly young dude and thought, when all these chicks in the class see this young professor, they're going to say, "Hey, you look like you could be a student." And I looked into their faces, and all I saw was a bunch of women saying, "I wish this old guy would stop talking." It was very, very crushing. But luckily, there were some bright young students in there, like Mr. Blackwell.
Take it easy, Lessenberry. Take it easy.
And by the way, that was some alumni of my class that took Jack Lessenberry to the ground. Took that piece of shit to the curb, threw him in the back of the compactor.
I remember once I ran into you on election day at the Finney polling place. And I think this was after I'd been in your class. I think this was maybe 2004. And I asked you how things were going or blah, 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 whatever. I think Kwame was up for election whenever his first re-election was.
Yeah, 2005. Yep.
Okay, so 2005. And so I asked you, what you thought. And you said, well, I might not like what he does, but it's definitely good for business. So so you were kind of like saying, yeah, I'd like this guy to be around.
Yes, I believe there's always...
What do you think about Jack Lessenberry? Just kind of left an open-ended question. You're like, man, that guy's got to watch it with the ladies.
You were right.
All right. But it seems like people know.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know Jack, God bless you, because he was a liberal lion, a really sort of respected voice of the left, and I think a very valuable sort of balloon popper at the Metro Times who would gore every ox that he came in contact with. The only problem is he was also one of the biggest hypocrites in the world, one of the biggest creepers in the world, and one of the biggest douchebags in the world. And fortunately, some students who had had enough of it, when they saw the Harvey Weinstein thing come out, said, you know what, we know a local Harvey Weinstein, and we're going to take him to the ground. And they did. And you can see those stories at DeadlineDetroit.com. Some of the best journalism produced in Detroit that year. And then Wayne State investigated and found out he was even worse than anybody thought. So that there's justice for you.
Oh, yes, you know all things Detroit. Back to Ben.
But yeah, so Ben's in the class, and this does come back to rock and roll. And Wayne State had a policy at the time that said, you can't pass this class if you miss more than 2 sessions. And Ben said, well, is there any way I can miss a couple months of class? And I'm like, reading comprehension is not part of the... Yeah, reading comprehension is not part of the grade, but in the yearbook, in the syllabus, it clearly says you can't miss more than 2 classes. You better have a great excuse. And he said, I'm going to tour Australia with my band. And I said, that's a pretty good excuse. So I think you end up getting an A in that class. That was a pretty good.
I think I got A's in all of my journalism classes. It was Gen Ed that was like, I really didn't care about geology. I really didn't care about UGE.
But geology's rock, right? You're a rock guy.
Oh, jeez.
That's weird. I don't remember. I feel like I missed the first day of class because I was in Memphis. We had a show in Memphis that week. And then I showed up, so I came to the second one. And the main thing I learned from your class was how to spell Mickey Shore. Because the way that I don't know if this was across the journalism department or just you or only a couple people, but if you had a factual error in a report, you automatically failed. And you were public affairs reporting. And the first report that we did was you got the police report from the M&M ICP altercation in a Mickey Shore parking lot. And we had to, using that police report, we had to write a news story. And the problem was whoever the police officer was spelled Mickey Shore Shore. And I think everyone in the class except for one person just reprinted that without double checking to see that Shore is actually spelled Shorr. But you were able to rewrite a piece and make corrections for one letter grade drop down, I believe.
Wow. So you actually did learn something in his class because you've written pieces besides being a drummer and, I guess, what would you call you? A record label magnate? Can we call you that?
Executive,
okay.
That's fine. I'm into that. But yeah, no, it was interesting because that was one of the reports. And then there was another, one of the other things we did was that it was like a Eminem and Kim Mathers domestic disturbance police report that we had to write an article on. It was all Detroit hip hop related. It was the only class that I ever had at Wayne where the teacher mentioned juggalos.
That's probably good, though. It probably made the class interested in what they were writing about as opposed to some of the other stories that you could have written about that might be important and boring.
Well, and one of your classmates went on to be the publicist for ICP many years later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's since lost his job, but still has a lot of empty Faygo bottles in his garage.
Hey, we put out an ICP record at Third Man. We nothing but respect for those guys. Like 100%. When you think about someone that has entirely created their own subculture. Now you can talk about hippie jam bands and all this stuff. They have subcultures and people are very, very much enmeshed in them. But juggalos did not exist before ICP, and the fact that it's on the FBI radar for being an organized gang, man, that is impressive. They DIY all their own shit. I'm impressed by those guys, gotta say.
Yeah, they are incredibly unique, and I would say Jack and the White Stripes, when they launched, maybe a little bit of a throwback, but still very unique in the formation of what they did. Do you agree with that? Do you think that they were groundbreaking and unique?
Who are you asking about? The White Stripes or Insane Clown Posse?
The White Stripes.
Yeah, unique, definitely. I was unaware of, before them, I had never really been exposed to a two-piece band. I just built into my head was, where's the bass player? First off, I was like, no, you don't need a bass player. A band can be whatever you want. That just for me at, teenage years, that was something new and kind of eye-opening for me.
What I always wondered about them, though, is I feel like they never got much airplay in their hometown. Do you feel like they got enough airplay from the rock stations in Detroit when they were breaking out?
No, I don't think. I mean, they got. I think they got the bare minimum a band of their prominence could expect.
Yeah,
I still don't understand like radio promotion, payola, all that shit. It doesn't make any sense to me. Whenever we're working on a project and you're talking about radio and how songs get played, it just seems like we're still doing this shit. People are still acting this way.
And you know what, Ben? Most of it is total bullshit. Every year we had to sign the payola thing, and it was ludicrous. And there was one incident that I can remember. I won't name the person who had a little bit of payola, but it wasn't related to music. It was
name them.
It was related to some other project they had. But like the Dirt Bombs, I mean, did you guys have trouble getting airplay here? Like, how does that work from inside the band? Because back then you needed radio. You don't need that now.
absolutely. We never got any radio airplay. If we got any airplay in Detroit, it was from WDET and probably on their overnight programs.
Liz
but
Copeland.
we were never on a big label, and that's the large thing. We didn't have a radio department. The White Stripes or bands like the Bon Bondies or whatever who were on bigger labels had those kind of those luxuries. But even then, it's it just seems I don't really understand it. I don't, Well, it's funny because this comes in light of 89X changing formats last week. And what's the 98.7 is now kind of a throwback rock and roll station. Is that right?
It's called Alternative. And as a fan of alternative rock and rock music and classic rock, I wouldn't describe it that way. I would call it more pop alternative, if that makes sense.
But in the first name listed in the kind of artist that they said they were going to play was the White Stripes, which was kind of funny that it took 20 years for anyone in town to really be claiming that.
Yeah, I never got that because Riff, we would play Kid Rock, right out of the gate. Kid Rock was a staple at Riff. Eminem was a staple at, 955 or 963. And it's like, how did the White Stripes build from nothing here, like zero support here, to what, Jack has made it now and his solo career incredibly successful? It just has always boggled my mind. I never got it.
Yeah, I mean, the White Stripes label at the time was a label called V2, which was kind of a smaller major label, and I assume they didn't have tons of promotional budget to throw at that stuff. They did all right, but they still had to do their the K-Rock weenie roasts and the Not So Silent Christmas and all that stuff. They did those things, but as to what they got back out of it, I don't.
And now 20,
hard to parse.
And now it's been damn near 30 years, and you guys are putting out a greatest hits album, correct? For just in time for Christmas. How amazing!
Exactly.
What can you tell us about that? Like, why now too? Why greatest hits album for the White Stripes?
It's kind of been like batted around here at Third Man for a little while. Like, let's think about this. Like, let's think about the idea of a White Stripes greatest hits, and see if what we think about it. The different people involved. And I one of the things that kind of got me on it was a few years back. Pitchfork, Pitchfork.com did a list of those top whatever albums of the 2000s, the 2000-2010 decade. And I get excited to read lists. I think everyone loves to read lists and then bitch about them. No one ever says, yep, they got it right, perfect, 100%. Even the people that work at those places.
Especially Pitchfork.
Yeah. But I was excited to see where the White Stripes land on this. And so I believe on that list was Elephant was the White Stripes' highest rated record. And then a little bit behind that was White Blood Cells. And then I think Distill was also on there. Which I was like, okay, I thought they should be higher, but whatever. And then the Strokes, their album Is This It? Was particularly high, within the top 10 somewhere. And I thought, oh, wow, that's pretty great for the Strokes. They have, if you've never heard of them, and you ask someone, hey, what Strokes album should I get? Everyone in the world will tell you, Is This It? It is undeniable. That is the go-to Strokes album. Now, that's great for that album and somewhat helpful for the band, I guess. If you like that, you can explore more. But for the White Stripes, there was no definitive, this is the one album you have to get. You have to get Distill. You have to get White Blood Cells. You have to get Elephant. There's really, really divided amongst fans of what they loved. And I think that was kind of informed me of why I eventually was like, I think we should do a greatest hits. And this is why we don't have that go-to, White Stripes LP. And so let's make it,
So when you do an LP now, and I guess that term for a while was obsolete, but now it's kind of come back in. Do you do a CD? Do you do vinyl? Is it a digital download? Is it just something that, you throw up on Spotify or on some platform where they make all the money and you guys get a few euros?
So I always think in terms of vinyl first. That's been my mindset for releasing music for 20 plus years. The vinyl is the actual release, and then everything else comes after. So yeah, there are you can digitally download it, you can stream it on all the platforms, and there will be a CD as well. We occasionally do cassettes.
I forgot about cassette. 8 tracks are out, right? LaDuff is screwed on this one.
Yeah, that's right.
We've not done any 8 tracks. Where is LaDuff? What's he up to?
He's doing a podcast with us.
Everyone's doing a podcast with you guys. Yeah. Man, you're just giving them away.
Ben, actually, I never leave this basement.
Is there a TV podcast?
if you want to know where LaDuff is, I think I can track him by his tether. Let me see if that's showing up on my GPS.
He's actually 2 blocks away right now. I bet.
Oh shit! I hope he didn't hear that. I don't want to get.
Is vinyl really that much better in the sound in your mind?
I personally, my ears are a little shot. I mean, if everything's quiet and there's no hum in the room from appliances or whatever, I have a high pitched ringing in my ears.
Me too.
Being next to Mick Collins' guitar amplifier on stage for 10 years. I prefer it, and I care about it, and so that informs when I'm involved making it. I can be that much more dedicated and involved and knowledgeable. I don't really understand digital, like the idea of digital files, ones and zeros and different sample rates and high quality, high def, all that stuff. We do it. We make sure it's out there for people who do care about that. But my expertise and my passion lies in vinyl. So if people think it sounds better, awesome. I probably there's probably a certain point where I wouldn't be able to tell the difference, to be perfectly honest. But I like vinyl. That's my
only beef with vinyl is that I gotta get up and turn it over. But I always
grandpa over here.
I know. Well, it's getting harder every year now. Grading all those papers from Australia. By the way, I also let you get away with spelling everything with an O for color and favor and all that other stuff. So there were more exceptions made for the rock god than anybody really should have gotten.
Did you save any papers? Would you have any writing, or you throw all that shit out?
No, I would save some things from semester to semester if there were some things that were worth sharing with future classes, if there was something that I really liked, or if I read it and it put a smile on my face. If we're building up to did I save your paper, the answer is yes. The truth is probably not, but I don't know. I'd have to check. But people who did really good jobs, I think, peer learning is the best way to do it. When you see what one of your classmates did that was really well, I think people say, oh shit, if this joker on the other side of the room could do that, then maybe I can. I think it inspires people. But
one thing that I really liked, to go back to the legendary Jack Lessenberry, was that the day one assignment in that class was to write a biographical story. That was feature writing class, and it was you had to write a feature on him, on Jack Lessenberry. So he's this renowned journalist. He's won local Emmy awards. Blah, 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 all that shit. And so that day in class was just like a press conference. Everyone could ask him questions. Everyone's taking notes. And then you had to find someone else that you could interview and speak to about him and get quotes about him. And so whatever, the next day or next 2 days later, whatever, everyone gets their papers, read them out loud in class, whatever. And, he has little comments here and there, whatever. And after everything's done, he says, I got to tell you, the best grade I ever gave in this class on this assignment, this is my assignment every year, was someone did the interview in class, and then they went out and they found someone to interview that absolutely hated me, that had nothing but bad things to say about me. And he said, I have respect for that. As a journalist, I gave him an A+.
Actually, that wasn't worth an A+. It's not hard to find people like that. All you had to do was walk outside or speak to his former students. But you got to think. But you got to think about it being in a college class. How likely would you? I do remember on my paper talking about him. I described his appearance as wearing a tired gray suit. It was kind of like ill-fitting, And I could see when it was, one of the classmates read it out loud. That's the way they would do it in that class. Is your classmate would have to read it, and if they can't read it, it kind of means that you did a poor job writing it. But when they got to that line, I looked at his face specifically to see what his reaction was, and I could see him kind of like, "Fuck you say?" Yeah. No,
I
he
did
was
good.
he was
I
one
did
of
good.
those
I did all
dudes whose elbows patches had elbow patches on him. I mean, he was a tired.
Why are we still talking? I'm sorry, I even
Yeah, so-
brought it
well,
up.
yeah,
Where
so-
is he? Is he just like crawling under a rock? What happened?
Well, unlike Vinyl, he's not coming back. He's they put a wooden stake through that golem. But what I really liked about Vinyl was the art. I love the cover art. I love the
that's
liner
missing now.
notes. I love reading, lyrics if they had them, but seeing who produced it, who the engineer was, who sat in on it. I mean, there was so much information on there that's certainly lost on anything I'm looking on my phone.
Well, it's fun too, and I know Ben, you did the crossword puzzle to announce the track listing for the White Stripes' greatest hits, which I mean that's missing now in music in general. I think
It's so weird. That crossword puzzle was just I can't remember. Someone on our team came up with the idea. It said we could do a crossword puzzle, and I'm like, oh, I'll I know there's crossword generating websites. I'll go there. I'll spend like an hour putting this together, and whatever, no big deal.
2 days
And
later,
the amount of mileage and coverage and interviews. Like Brian McCollum at the Free Press called up. He's like, "Hey, I want to get an interview with you about this crossword." I'm like, "This is I feel like an imposter because I do not care for crosswords at all. Everyone else in my family, my mom's side of the family, every Sunday New York Times crossword puzzle, super fans. They have the dictionaries, all that stuff. I feel like this imposter. Like, I'm sorry, I'm the one who wrote the crossword puzzle, guys, but I knew the subject matter."
Oh, it's fun. Well, it worked. I mean, it got it out there.
Yeah.
So with Third Man, I mean, is it active in like going out and finding new artists? Because I feel like the guitar-driven rock music, probably because the technology is just fading away when you look at the charts. Are you guys actively going out there to find new bands to sign?
How old are you, Fellhauer?
44.
44. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought you were much older based on your appearance and the
That's
withered
high
tone of your
praise.
voice.
Well, it's these hours.
It's your tired gray suit, Mark.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
He's got a tired gray T-shirt
I
available at DrewandMikeStore.com.
I look like an old man. I act like a child.
Well, think about it this way. When I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, the big hit song was Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby.
Sure. Sampled.
And I would have listened to that song on 96.3 and the cassette single probably like 5-6 times a day in
Detroit
a row,
Avenue.
whatever. And what that in and of that time, that had no larger ramifications. That was just me in my own stupid East Side basement. But now with streaming, every time some stupid 6-year-old kid streams a song, it counts for a chart. It counts for these quantifiable numbers that have large, huge impact across the world. And so think of the kind of music that 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds listen to.
Sure.
On repeat, and think of the kind of music that refined, people like myself, NPR listeners do. I want to listen to tons of different things. I want to listen to everything. I don't have time to listen to anything 6 times. And so that affects what charts, how much spins, or how many plays things have on Spotify. So when you see this kind of advantage or this leaning of pop and hip hop tracks, I think it's based on that.
Okay.
Speaking to guitar bands, we just looking for bands that we like, bands that we can get excited about. That's you want, if something excites me, it makes it that much easier for me to work on it, and it makes it that much easier for me to excite other people about it.
So Ben, before Third Man Records, there was Cass Records, and I want you to just talk a little bit about how, what the hell were you thinking? Because nobody was talking about vinyl then, and now Cass, now Third Man, now you have a record pressing plant in the heart of Detroit. I mean, talk to us a little bit about that evolution and how people can experience that themselves. Maybe that's changed because of the pandemic, but if you've never seen this plant at Third Man on Cass, it's worth the trip, and all the stuff you see.
Canfield in the Cass corridor.
In the Cass corridor, right? And Ben is going to go crazy
Takeaways,
if you call it
Pulitzer.
Midtown. Don't call it Midtown. It's the Cass Corridor. But
you just failed that project.
But there's a lot of cool stuff from the minute you walk through the front door till you get to the back of that pressing plant. So just talk to us a little bit about that evolution from Cass to Third Man and how you went from being this guy who's like, that kid's wasting his time to, hey, I'm the shit.
I was wasting my time, 100%. No one was wrong in having that thought. Least of all me. I never thought anything would come of it. So I do have to give credit, though. Before Cass, there was a label called Italy Records, run by a guy named Dave Buick. And he put out the first 2 White Stripes singles. And he just has a house over in Woodbridge and just decided to start putting out records. That's what he wanted to do. And when the White Stripes put out those records with him, I became acquainted with Dave and immediately just fell in love with the idea of a vinyl record label, of running it from your house, of focusing on 45s. I was 15 when I met him, and it took probably like 2 years of bugging Dave of like, let me work for you. Let me do anything. Like I'll go get coffee or I'll fill out the mail orders, whatever, fold singles. I just want to be involved. And so finally, like after 2 years, he was like, okay, here's a list of all the distributors I deal with. I haven't called them in a while, but if you could call them up and see what records they need. He had probably about 10 titles at that time. Say, okay, I'll call them up. This is my senior year of high school. I've got my like spiral bound notebook that has like my English, notes from earlier in the day in it as well. And I call up these distributors and start taking orders. And I go back to him. I was like, okay, we've got $5,000 worth of orders. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, they all wanted, they wanted $3,000. This guy wanted 1,500 and this wanted this. And he's like, wow, okay. He liked the idea of having a label, but he wasn't terribly concerned with running it. And so I got to be really, really involved with that. And after about 2 years or so of doing that, he wasn't really doing anything with the label. And I could tell that he wasn't wanting to like hand it over to me for like me to run his label. It's all his money. There wasn't like an LLC set up. It was just whatever money was in his bank account that would be used to press records. Very, very low budget DIY. And so I thought, man, in the back of my mind, I want to start doing my own thing. And I had friends that were recording music that I liked that wasn't being released. And just fortunately enough, my mom came to me and she said, hey, family friend, Brian Muldoon, said, Brian Muldoon said, you're just so smart and you know how about record labels and music and bands and the scene and all that stuff. And he said, someone should just give you money to run a record label. I was like, yeah, he's right. Someone should give me money to run a record label.
Yeah. What's with Muldoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom said, well, I'm refinancing the house and, I feel bad because I paid for your brother and sister to go to college and you got a full ride to Wayne and I haven't had to pay anything.
Hey.
So can you do anything with $10,000? I was like, yeah, I can do a lot with $10,000. So she just gave me that money, no strings attached.
No points? She didn't get equity?
I mean, equity in what? There's nothing to own.
True, okay.
That was basically, I mean, in hindsight.
I'm joking, but yeah.
That $10,000 she paid was more valuable than the free ride I got at Wayne. Because everything I learned off of that $10,000 of dealing with pressing plants, of how to master a vinyl record, of distributors, of shipping, all that stuff. That's what I use in my everyday. That $10,000, making Cass Records a reality was my college education.
And now you have this career where you get to do, what you love and in the work. And it's probably, well, we know it's taken you, I assume, all over the world. And you probably got to meet a lot of people. Is there, I don't know. I like asking this question. Have you ever met a president with these travels? A sitting president?
No, I met a Roman senator before.
Oh, that doesn't count.
No, Roman mayor is a mayor. No, not Roman mayor. It was an Italian mayor, which is like a senator over there, I think.
How about a Beatle? Have you met a Beatle? No?
We're putting out the new Paul McCartney solo record.
That's kind of where
in the Cass Corridor right now.
That's where I was going. But you haven't met him yet?
I haven't met him. No, I've met Danny Harrison, George Harrison's son, is a friend, and I met George Harrison's widow, Olivia, who's come here, and she had the great line because I had a 3-year-old daughter at the time, and we were talking about kids, and she said this quote from George, which she said, someone asked him, "Oh, have you ever heard of the Terrible Twos?" And George said, "I haven't heard of the Terrible Twos, but I've heard of the fucking horrible threes."
That's very true. That's very, very true. A Rolling Stone. Have you met a Rolling Stone?
I met Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger came here to Third Man, and what was he doing? He was just hanging out. He was checking out studios in Nashville, and he ended up coming by here. And he came by twice in one day. And later, when he came by later, we had a band playing, this band called Death from Above, 1979. Really, really loud 2-piece Canadian band. And he walked into our performance space. He didn't even get in. He opened the door and he turned around and said, "It's too loud. I can't go out there."
Well, he's an old man.
And I turned around and I'm maybe like 5-10 feet away from him, and I hear him say that, whatever. And I turned to like employees like 5-10 feet from me. And this is the only time I've legitimately yelled in the office. And I just yelled, "Find me some fucking earplugs now!" Like, I realized the fact of Mick Jagger seeing this show, which we are recording and releasing, it just needs to happen. And then we went bowling afterwards, and he was not a very good bowler.
At the Garden Bowl?
No, this is
That's
here
down in Nashville. Yeah.
Oh, in Nashville. Oh, so you're talking about Third Man in Nashville. Okay. I'm fixated on now. My daughters toured that facility and had a crush on you after you showed them around. She's still single, but stay away. But Third Man on Canfield has a pressing facility too, which people can go check out, and you can even cut your own 45 there in the booth. Mick didn't lay down some tracks there for $4 or whatever it is to put in a machine.
I'm trying to think. Oh, in that booth we had, I think Huey Lewis was in that one there.
Oh wow!
And then some other people.
You're not bragging about that, right? You're just noting it for historical purposes.
No, Huey Lewis. He did amazing harmonica player. He did like some
don't knock Huey Lewis.
Old style blues harmonica in there, which that booth, the microphone in that booth is perfect for recording harmonica. But yeah, you can go in there and you can watch vinyl records being pressed 10 feet away from you, which that's a big allure to me. When the first place I ever saw records being made was actually on that Australia tour that I skipped your class to go to.
It was an excused absence, technically.
It was an excused absence. That was good. I had other teachers that every teacher, by the way, you weren't the only cool one. I was so worried about saying I was going to skip class. I was going to miss classes for going on tour. And every teacher was like, "Go, whatever. This is journalism. Who cares? Just go."
I was going to say that.
Can I drive the van? I have experience driving on the other side of the road from my time in Ireland. So I should have suggested that.
Well, it's not very rock star of you to ask either, Ben. You should have just done it and I don't know, broke something on the way out.
He's a good Catholic school boy.
I was really cognizant of having a full ride.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been going to school. I wouldn't have been paying for it.
So,
I didn't think I didn't think I was going to be a rock star. I also didn't think I was going to be a journalist. I had no idea what exactly was going to happen. I think of this quote. I think it was from Jim Jarmusch, where he talks about, New York in the early 80s, that it was so, there was kind of no consequence, that you could try anything. And once you found a little bit of success, you could go in there. So you could be in bands and you could write poetry and you could shoot movies. And for Jarmusch, it was like, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this movie thing. Let me do more of that. That's what it felt like for me when I was, 20 years old in Detroit. Like, I could play in a band, I could work this record label, I could work at the record store, I could write for the Metro Times, all of this stuff. And that's how you find your path. I was very fortunate to be in a position where I wasn't, some huge hammering debt on me or something like that,
So, you do tours with the Dirt Bombs and you toured with the White Stripes. Is roadie the appropriate term? I mean, do you like that term?
I don't begrudge it.
Okay. Was there a moment?
I carried a lot of shit. My lower back feels like it earned the term. Yeah.
Was there a moment that it like the bell went off for either you or Jack or Meg that, oh my God, we're making it? I mean, was it like a movie moment or was it just very gradual?
to me, it still seems like those moments keep happening. Like it would just be like, wow, they asked us to play in Milwaukee. We don't even know anyone in Milwaukee. They're offering us whatever, $200 to play there. And it's me and Jack and Meg and driving there in a Ford Taurus. Like we're all crammed into my car. But then it just kind of keeps on going, you know? Wow, we're putting out a second album, or we're going on tour, or this band asked us to open for them. It was just like incrementally. I do remember that after they had played the Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn, which was their first national television appearance. I remember Jack saying, "Oh, it's never going to get bigger than this. Like this is clearly as far as it's going to go."
And then they end up closing out.
Where's Craig Kilborn now?
Well, they ended up closing out Late Night with Conan, which is one of my number one shows of all time. The old one on NBC. They closed it out that whole week, and became
not the whole week. They just played. They previously they had done a whole week on Conan when Elephant came out, but they did the last episode. This was early. Was it January 2009? But I was there when it happened. It was pretty nice to be there and witness all of that.
And now they're best friends, kind of, right? Well, Jack's
done. Yeah, they've been friends for a while. He had done a show in Detroit early on, and after his show, they shot a remote. I think they shot something at the Greenfield Village.
Yeah. Yes.
And afterwards, he went to the Garden Bowl to hang out, and he just happened to be next to Jack and Meg. This is probably like '98 or whatever, and they met. And so then years later, when they get popular, they're like, "Hey, we met before. I don't know if you remember." And yeah, good friends. Great guy. He did a couple records with us, and unknowingly walked into my office one day and just sat here trying to escape and just talked for 20 minutes.
That's cool. That's good to know.
Super nice, super gracious guy.
It's good to know that he's a good guy. It's funny because doing this, you always have this like list of people you'd always want to talk to, and believe it or not, he's up there on my list, as is Jack. There's a whole list of them, so it's nice to know that these people. I'm sorry for hogging all the time, ML. You can talk now.
What?
No, he's not listening. We're not talking about Depeche Mode.
No. I just hey. They don't have a drummer.
Ben, I could talk to you about music and Third Man
really
all day long, as I have the last hour. And I do want to mention you guys put out the Stooges, the Goose Lake, live at Goose Lake, which was something that was really impossible to find. And I'm glad that Third Man exists to keep doing stuff like that and find more stuff like that. So
that's the fun stuff. That's the stuff where, like I said, you get to work on things that you love and you're excited about. I'm not exaggerating. I have talked more about the Stooges Goose Lake record than I've talked about any other record in history. More than any Beatles record or records that I've played on. I think I did like 24, 25 interviews about that record and just loved it. Like loved talking about it and getting excited and the history behind it and the lore and framing that for everyone. It's 100% like, this is why you do this, to have this level of engagement and excitement.
But Third Man isn't just a flight of fancy, right? I mean, you guys are a business. You're trying to make money. How you guys?
Bills, man.
Yeah, how you guys doing with this pandemic, with this economy, with everything? I mean, you got retail stores which have got to be struggling. I mean, is Third Man going to be around for longer than Buick Records or whatever the hell that dude was pushing out?
Italy Records. Well, for the record, Dave Buick, who ran Italy Records, is now employed by Third Man.
Oh, is he?
Pass Corridor. So yeah, he's still doing the same thing. He's just doing it for us now.
I was just he wasn't doing shit before. I hope you got him working now. Sounds like somebody need to light a fire to that young man.
Put out the first 2 White Stripes records. He could retire on that.
Oh, I mean,
the idea of that, not the financial of it, was nothing. But yeah. So we had to shut down the plant for however long stuff was shut down in Michigan. They whenever they opened up auto plants, we were able to open up. I think we were covered under that same whatever
essential manufacturing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think it was maybe 6 or 8 weeks we were closed. And then storefronts, a different Detroit and Nashville. We had different kind of when they were closed and how they opened back up. They're both open now. but yeah, all things considered, we definitely lost we saw a decrease in our sales going through distribution. So going to distributors who would sell to physical stores, but we definitely saw an uptick in our direct to customer sales. So you go to thirdmanrecords.com and you buy a record. Most people took their $1,200 government check and they blew it on shit that they wanted just to stay sane and to get that little bit of joy in life. I know I did.
Yeah.
And so we saw kind of pretty much evened out like year over year. So we didn't really lose any ground.
Well, that's great. Well, as we get to the holidays, and we're going to talk in a minute about some local retailers we encourage you to support, and that would include Third Man Records over on
the storefront
on Canfield. And actually, that's a place where when people come in from out of town, they want cool stuff.
Yep.
See cool stuff. Just take them through. But how do people give you guys some money? How do they do some commerce with you before the holidays and beyond?
Well, they can go to the storefront, like you said, but they can go to thirdmanrecords.com, and we've got tons of stuff. It's not just records. It's not just music to listen to. It's apparel. We've got snow globes. We've got beginner guitars for kids, guitar pedals for advanced if you're at that
record
level.
Players, all kinds of doodads.
Yeah, all kinds of hardware.
45 inserts.
Well,
shoe inserts, gel insoles. Is that what you're?
No, 45 inserts for your.
45 adapters like this. Yeah,
exactly.
100.
Oh, you see.
Yeah.
I've got one in my pocket or in my hand at all times. It's just a nervous tick, I guess.
And Drew just texted me. He wants to know, when is the McCartney 3 vinyl coming out that Third Man is pressing?
It's coming out on the 18th of December, and it's probably you could probably see it being pressed right now at the Cass pressing plant.
Oh, I'll tell him.
How many times a day did Drew text you?
Well, I see him, about 10 hours a day. So, and then when I don't see him,
he's texting you when you're right next to him the whole time.
Yeah, that's how we communicate. Isn't that how all the kids communicate?
And that's the Cass pressing plant on Canfield. Just so we get that.
Hey, Fellhauer, did you used to work with Joey Marasso?
Yeah, we still do. He does our merch. Yeah,
he does merch.
Absolutely.
He and I went to high school together.
Oh, really?
Oh, Drew's here.
Can you please pull me off a copy?
Drew's demanding a copy.
Notre Dame Catholic school.
That's right. Yeah.
I was editor of the school newspaper, and one issue of the school newspaper, the cover photo was him doing basically cosplaying as Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Where is that picture? I want it immediately.
Yeah, I'll probably be able to dig it up for you. It shouldn't be too hard.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's cool. Yeah, I got to talk to him today, so I'll let him know you said hello.
Drew just ran down the stairs to ask for a copy of that McCartney pressing when it's available. So we'll see.
Mike, where are you at? Are you at your house? Or are you in a studio? Where are you at, Mike?
We're in Drew's basement. This is the Red Shovel. This is the Red Shovel Network headquarters.
Where is that? Are we allowed to say?
Yeah, it's in Ferndale.
It's in Ferndale.
It's in Highland Park. You said
Ferndale. Close enough. It's like Highland Park with
just up the road.
Swanky boutiques.
Out there every day, or you do that? How many times a week you do this?
Just once a week. The rest of the week, I sell plasma.
Okay, fair enough. Can I ask you some questions, ML? Mike, what do they call you?
Around here, things I can't say.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm looking for permission.
Ben, there's nothing he would love more than to answer questions from you.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's turn the tables.
Oh, speed round.
You have never divulged where you got the Kwame Kilpatrick text messages from. That is correct, right?
Jim Schaefer.
Okay. You and Jim Schaefer have never divulged where they came from, right? Correct?
We told each other.
Does your wife know?
She does not.
She does not. She really doesn't?
No. They didn't know what we had until the day before publication, and we'd had them for months.
So you didn't tell your wife where you got them from?
I did not, but Jim had something sitting in a Jimmy John's box that we had been using to transport these that his wife looked in and said, "Oh shit, this is big," and called my wife and said, "I think these assholes might be onto something." And then within a day or so, it was out there. But we keep secrets.
So you guys have kept that secret this whole time. No one knows except besides you guys and whatever that source was.
I believe that's so.
And he loves
of course, there's the Lord Jehovah.
If I guessed correctly, would you tell me? On air or off air? What are you waiting for? What's going on here?
Let me tell you what the FBI tells me when I ask them if I'm wrong. Will you at least tell me that I'm wrong? They say no, because that would be essentially telling you that you're right. So I'm going to take the FBI answer.
That's where the term "we can neither confirm or deny" comes from. Is from that specific kind of situation. I think Carlita gave them to you. Anyways, next question. When did you get your ear pierced, Mike?
In 1985. Back when it was edgy.
And why? Because it was edgy?
No, because I grew up in Grosse Pointe and hated it. And I wanted to do something that I would never have had the guts to do when I was in high school. And my hero in high school was a guy named Monroe, who was punk before anybody. He used to wear like pants with 43 zippers on him. And he had a mohawk and piercings and tats and everything. And I thought, this is the coolest dude in all of Grosse Pointe, because he's the one guy when everybody else is looking at the preppy handbook and trying to say, where can I find more plaid bow ties? This guy just said, the hell with you guys. I'm going all Clash.
What year did you graduate high school, Mike?
1985.
85. So you weren't really, you kind of missed like Negative Approach and hardcore Grosse Pointe stuff, like Punch and Judy Theater stuff. That was before your time?
Well, if it was, I wasn't cool enough to know about it.
Okay, fair enough. I saw, is everyone in Drew's basement, or the people that I'm seeing here, people are all over? No. Sean Windsor. I've got a question for Sean Windsor.
Yes.
Sean's here.
I'm here.
He's
if Michael let me speak.
Release the Kraken!
All right.
If Michael let me speak.
So you're in Drew's basement. I see behind you there's an Oasis concert poster. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm not going to look behind me, but yes.
Okay. I have
I'll throw my
friend of a friend story about Oasis in Detroit that I have to share because I think it's hilarious.
Love Oasis.
So that was the question for me. What's behind me?
He just wanted you on camera. So
I'm a prop.
That's technically referred to as Drew's Wonder Wall.
Oh Lord.
So I don't know how well this is known, but this is anecdotally told to me by friends a little bit older than me. But apparently, right as Oasis was getting big, their concert in Detroit was at St. Andrews, I believe, or they had played somewhere else and they were going to go hang out at St. Andrews. And these friends of mine ended up like talking with the guys in the band, and the guys in the band had this huge chip on their shoulder. Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
And their whole thing is being from Manchester, and they think Manchester is this really, tough thing. It's they're badasses because of it. Like, you're not hard. You think you're hard because you're from Detroit. We're from Manchester. We're hard. And they're kind of going on that trip all night. And so whatever, my friends leave. And as they're leaving, they're driving down past St. Andrews, and they see the guys from the band walking down the street. And one of my drunk friends says, "Hey, you think you're fucking hard? I got a gun. How fucking hard are you now?" And the guys in Oasis flipped out, like hid behind cars, were like super scared, like ducking and all this stuff. And someone can check the concert schedules or whatever. Oasis did not play Detroit for 5 years.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Was that stolen from Swingers?
Thanks a lot. So we were deprived. Just to prove a point. Although I'm surprised Liam dove behind a car. I thought he would have been just standing there brooding with his sunglasses on.
I had a friend who was in a band called Mule. Lived actually on Cass. I don't remember the cross street, but that was that whole thing. They squatted for a while and wanted to pretend they shot heroin and
who was
all
your
that
friend?
Sort of thing. His name is Preston Long.
P.W. Long.
Yeah.
Real Foot.
Yep. He was actually before that he was in a band called Wig, and that's when I met him. He was in Ann Arbor. We used to play basketball together, and he moved to Detroit and joined a couple of guys from the Laughing Hyenas, and I used to go sit and listen to him jam from time to time. But yeah, that was a whole thing back then. It was Whitey would move down into the Cass corridor and want the street cred and all that sort of thing. Well, everybody was young and didn't know any better, and
it really started with Cream, didn't it? I mean, didn't Cream really go out and launch it out, make Cass cool for?
I would say that predates Cream. That goes back to.
It does?
I mean, you gotta remember that that's just all offshoots of Wayne State campus area.
Yeah.
So you go back to, I think it's early, maybe like 64, that they have like the Red Door Gallery, and then there's like the Detroit Artist Workshop, which was basically all the Bohemian beatnik kind of folks meet up. Guys like George Tish and Lenny Sinclair. At the time, I think she was Magdalene Arndt, but she later married John Sinclair, and she's known as Lenny Sinclair. But those kind of like Bohemian coffee houses all start around the Monteith College at Wayne State, and then it escalates into the Warren Forest Sun. It escalates into Cream Magazine, bookshops, head shops, Plum Street, all that stuff. And it kind of still going. That's why Third Man is in that neighborhood, by the way, which was Mike. I think I've told you this before, but
in Midtown. That's how we get him off the phone. He says Midtown. Who said Midtown? What's that?
Did you know Preston or see him play?
I know that's the third rail with Third Man. If you say Midtown instead of Cass Corridor, you're going to be finding the exit.
Things, though, too. Like Midtown and Cass Corridor, as defined, are different. I think it's the ignorance of people using them interchangeably that offends me more so than anything. But
it's a marketing gimmick that worked. Yeah, I mean, it was not organic. It was very calculated.
Kind of like you moving to Grosse Pointe.
Detroit needed some fucking calculation for the first time in 50 years. Okay, I don't.
Wait, Ben left Detroit for Nashville, right?
Say again.
You left Detroit for Nashville?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. No wonder you and Alric are friends. He left Detroit for Grosse Pointe.
He left so we wouldn't have to run into Sean with his mule wig on.
Yeah, I don't have any hair at all and don't need to wear a wig.
But Sean, I was going to answer your question that the White Stripes opened for P.W. Long in an early show at the Magic Stick. And then the first real tour that they did, they were opening for Pavement. We did 3 shows in 1999, September 99, and he showed up in North Carolina. Was he living in North Carolina maybe at that time? But he showed up and he was wearing a Bantam Rooster t-shirt. Bantam Rooster is a band from Detroit. Friends of mine, people we know, lead singer ended up in the Dirt Bombs. And I said, "Oh, nice Bantam Rooster shirt." He's like, "Oh yeah, these guys are friends of mine." I'm like, "What's this guy saying he's friends with Bantam Rooster?"
Oh, he knew everybody.
That's P.W. Long.
I remember when Urge Overkill one time came to somewhere around here, and he was there, and he knew them. And I moved here from Austin, and back in the 80s, there were a lot of bands back in that scene, and he knew all those guys. It's sort of a small world in some ways, right? Driving around a van playing, and I don't know if it's still that way, but
it's shockingly small when you think about the world of rock and roll and people that are actually committed and dedicated to it and live it and aren't dilettantes and aren't posers and aren't just dipping their toe in. Like I have people. I'm 38 years old, and I have people that I deal with now every day that I've been dealing with professionally in bands or labels or whatever that I've been dealing with for over 20 years. Because like, if you're really committed and really dedicated to this, you're not going anywhere. This is it's an affliction as much as it's a calling.
Well, hey, if you can make it work, that's the way to do it. You end up being a lot more happy than a lot of folks out there. I don't want to say building Buicks, but doing shit that's more like drudgery. And we're gonna have another East Side rock star coming on in just a minute. Phil Guzmano of Better Made. I don't know if you ever go to the outlet store there on Gratiot, Ben, but they got some cool stuff there for Christmas. So
there's a Better Made the Chips, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Good rock and roll story is that Flaming Lips have it on their rider whenever they come to Detroit, that I think they get a
Flaming
case
Hot
of
chips.
the Better Made flavors for their tour bus.
Not the Flaming Hot chips for the Flaming Hot Lips?
Flaming Lips. I haven't heard that name in a while.
No?
Where are they from? Oklahoma?
The Flaming Hot is one of the more popular Better Made flavors.
Flaming Hot, the red one versus the orange barbecue?
Yeah, the red one. I mean, it's all Tabasco and love.
So I went to grade school across the street from your house. Can I say this? Are people tracking you down, Elric? Is this public knowledge?
No, it's okay.
It.
I've got the invisible fence and a moat.
Okay, good. But yeah, we had the better made flavors. We had sour cream and onion, regular, and barbecue. And
they're way past that now, man.
Just mentioning that makes me want to see if they're available in Nashville anywhere at a party store.
Stick around for a minute. Maybe you can ask Phil, because he's been patiently waiting. Before we get to Phil, I want to suggest that you do some business to support people around us. We want to keep the doors open on these great businesses in Detroit, and if you want to go to our Facebook page, it's just ML Elric, or Twitter @Elric, or just throw some comments up there. Throw out some suggestions for people where you'd like to go. Some of my favorites are Nest and City Bird, which are right across the street from Ben's shop there, Third Man on Canfield. They were kind of pioneers in Detroit small retail before Detroit was getting fancy restaurants. Hugh, which is just down the street on Cass itself, first place to ever carry the Kwame Sutra. Very cool menswear store. Think of if James Bond opened up an odds and ends shop. That's Hugh. It's a really, really cool place. Leon and Lulu in Clawson, another unique, super groovy place. Books, housewares, clothing, you name it. Great places that we want to support. We want them to be here when we come out the other end of this. Pure Detroit, of course. If for a long time, if you were an expat like I was and you wanted something Detroit, you had to go to Pure Detroit to have somebody send it to you. So those are great places to support. So please, let's get your suggestions, folks, on places where we can do some commerce between now and the holidays so that they'll be here after the holidays. Because this show's all about Detroit. It's about supporting Detroit. It's about telling the story of Detroit. But if you happen to get a little lost and you get outside Detroit, may I suggest that you check out our favorite butcher shop. Even Sean likes it. It's called The Butchery. It's out there on Orchard Lake Road in Sylvan Lake. They are such a cool butcher shop that pretentious foodies like Sean can go in there.
What do you mean? I'm excited about the
what he's
McRib
talking
coming out.
about. And when I go in there and say, I want to make some hamburgers and grill some chicken, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And they don't look down on me.
They'll feed everyone.
And they don't look up to Sean, but they...
No, they shouldn't. Although I did use their chicken last week to make chicken and dumplings.
Yes, and you had the Wagyu beef and some amazing
I don't
marbling.
need the Wagyu beef. I'm going to get a McRib, babe. It's
you went and you massaged.
It's opening up tomorrow.
You massaged your own meat for what you call Kobe Little Sean, which is, I'm told, delicious. It's comes in very small.
You know, he's had to take a back seat to Ben for the last 45 minutes.
It's driving him nuts. Yeah.
He's been itching to get out.
Was I talking too much?
No, Ben. No, Ben.
It's a good thing.
It's a great thing. He's just. He can't. He couldn't take it anymore. He had to start talking about his whatever and doing his little jokes.
My friends at the butchery.
Himself.
Yes, I did have to talk about my friends at the butchery because they are my friends.
They're also sponsors. So tell
they're
us,
sponsors
tell
too,
us where to go and what to do.
Oh yes, so they're on Orchard Lake, just west of Middle Belt, and you can find them online at thebutcherysl.com, or you can call 248-682-COWS. That's 248-682. COWS. If you spell that wrong, you'll fail your journalism assignment. They sell stuff online. They sell stuff retail.
Why are you looking at me again?
All kinds of good stuff. Because I just think
I look a little sickly today.
No, I think when we were at the butchery together, we had a moment. We were
holding hands, but I wasn't sure if that was a moment.
I was going to say we came together, but I think you were first. We had great stuff there.
Was it simultaneous or not?
And Chef Dave and Chef Julie run a great place, so please go by there. Check out their fine wares. Get the great stuff you want to prepare for your family. And when you get there, feel free to leave Sean out, but please let him know that ML sent you. And now, you know what? Before Ben's not going, but we have to. We have a little something for Ben from another East Side legend.
All guests appearing on ML Solo Detroit receive a 12-pack of Altus Lager.
Oh, he loves beer.
So Altus is back. They sponsor the show. Ben, you don't drink, right?
Very seldom.
So, because usually when we have teetotalers on the show, that 12-pack of Altus doesn't get much further than my garage.
He's finding a way to keep it all for himself, Ben.
Can you get a Faygo sponsorship?
He's actually trying to build a house out of the cans.
Glass bottles.
We'll reach out to Faygo. That's a good idea. I think at one time Faygo was thinking about sponsoring the network, but then the pandemic hit and everything's up in the air. So
if you even if it's just one bottle and one bag of some Faygo and Better Made would just make my day, whatever day it is.
Okay, that's worth a 12-pack to me. We'll work out some barter, but a man who's been patient and not just because his business has been around for about 100 years joins us now. That's Phil Guzmano of Better Made Chips. The reason why Phil is on today is because one of the places I do a lot of my Christmas shopping is at the Better Made outlet on Gratiot, where they have some cool swag too. It's right up there with the Soul of Detroit swag, but they have great deals on chips and stuff. But this time of year, this is one of these, you got to be ready for it things in Detroit. You can get Better Made chips dipped in chocolate, or my favorite, dark chocolate, in a really cool Better Made tin. They run about $10, $12. It's the perfect gift for your barber, your letter carrier, that asshole that your sister married, that you got to get something for, and maybe you can eat some of it too.
Or yourself.
Actually, my brother-in-law is pretty cool, so I got to take that back. But these are, this is a great thing. The thing is, you got to act fast. And I was talking to Phil about this, and I said, you can see him. It's sort of like Third Man. You can see him pressing the chips right there from the street. But I said,
there's a question in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Phil.
we'll get to a question.
You get some potato chips and you dip them in chocolate. You put them in a tin, and then we're good to go, right? And Phil said, my son, and he calls me that because he has that beard. You have no idea what goes into making these. So Phil is here to tell us a little bit about the holiday miracle that is Better Made chocolate dipped. Hold on, Sean. Chips. There we go. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you guys having me here.
So tell us about these chips. I just kind of figured you got some spuds, sliced them up, and Bob's your uncle, but not so.
Well, it does start. It kind of starts out like that, but what we end up doing is we fry them here. We end up packaging them up, sending them out to have them enrobed. They get enrobed. They get put into the bag, and then they put them in the tin and send them back to us. And then we distribute them all, actually with our distributors all around the state. And then we do send them actually all around the world on the internet.
Do you send them to Nashville? Ben wants to know.
We do send them to Nashville.
I've had them here. Someone, a friend sent them. I think it was maybe a wedding or engagement gift, but those chocolate covered chips, they're so good that I had to limit myself to one a day. Just
there you go.
I in my absolute gluttony, I would have demolished that whole tin if given the opportunity.
So we only do them seasonally, and as we start getting into October, we get like this pent up frustration. People start looking for these things, and we start getting phone calls and inquiries on the internet. It's like, where can I get them? Where can I get them? So we actually have come up with on our internet, you can go up and find the chocolate covered chip finder. And you go on there and you type in, where you're looking, and it breaks it down by county, and you can actually go find them in the local stores by you. So it's pretty crazy.
And Phil, you told me that getting this production is actually an interstate affair, that you guys have had to cast far and wide to get exactly what you need to make these things the way you like them.
We work hard to make sure that everybody is, satisfied with what they want. So it's excellent quality chips, excellent quality chocolate combined together. You get that salty sweet. People just really go crazy for it.
But what's the Pennsylvania connection? You told me something about big rigs going out to Pennsylvania, and I just assume you grabbed some spuds, at the bodega down the street.
Our potatoes do come from Michigan, but the company that we found to enrobe them is located in Pennsylvania.
So what does enrobing mean? Are these naked chips and now they're walking around with this plush terry cloth? I mean, it sounds a little weird.
They're naked, just covered with salt, and we send them out and they enrobe them. They pour the chocolate on top of them. Fancy way of saying pour the chocolate on.
Okay, so then they travel out in a luxury coach that's hermetically sealed with classical music playing so that the chips don't get upset. They end up in Pennsylvania.
They prefer white stripes.
Oh, they're white stripes. Okay. Well, look at this. Cross promotion. How the hell is Detroit not running the world in commerce here? It's just a natural. So then they get to Pennsylvania. They get dipped in chocolate and then they're brought back. Each chip is on a velvet pillow until it's
basically they come back all nicely cared for, and people fight over them at the store. It's pretty amazing.
Holy crap. Well, I don't know how you keep the cost down with that sort of luxuriant treatment, but if you want to get these, I recommend that you check out the Better Made outlet store there on Gratiot. They've got all kinds of cool things. You will find yourself enjoying your visit. But if you can't make it, maybe if Ben has his keyboard handy, how do other folks find out about this sweet action, Phil?
So the perfect way, like I said, is to go on our website. Right on the website, there's a chocolate covered potato chip finder, and you can go on there and you can get everything you need right there.
And that's on the Better Made website?
Yep, Better Made Snack Foods or BetterMade.com.
BetterMade.com. That's MADE. Phil, thanks for your patience. Thanks for those little elves that make those chips that get me off the hook with so many people. In fact, I buy so many of these to give away. I think I intentionally make sure I have one or two extra so that I have no choice but to consume them myself. So
can I just trade in my 12 of beer for one of those tins? Is that?
I'll get you 2.
Hey.
Great.
Just take it all, Ben.
And I get so Phil's sending you the chips. That I still get to keep the beer though, right? Because I made this happen. I'm sort of the broker.
Beer, yeah.
Okay.
You and your yard beers. Have fun.
It's always about ML.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Detroit Love.
Let me know when you're coming down, and I'll take good care of you.
You guys always take care. I have to tell you, your staff there, there's some very, very friendly and helpful folks. So you will see me there again. And I guess these chips go fast, so we better act quickly.
Yeah, I'm getting low.
Okay. Well, Phil, thanks for joining us. Ben, thanks for joining us from Nashville. If you guys want to stick around for the rest of the show, we're gonna do something we haven't done yet, which is debate. I guess we did debate quite a bit there. Apparently, Sean knows some guy who's in a band.
I don't know.
When you let him talk, yeah.
Jeez, the guy's...
No, I don't need to debate.
He's in a coma for 45 minutes. You wake him up, you pull the pin out of that grenade, and everybody gets blown apart.
What do you mean, everybody? It's just you.
Well, I guess the debate's beginning then.
I won't change my mind on anything, regardless of the facts that are set out before me. I'm dug in. And I'll never change.
Brain nut. Brain cell. Brain nut. Brain cell. Brain nut infinity. Brain cell infinity plus 1. No.
Before we resume our running gunfight, formerly known as the Great Debate, I want to ask you if your stocking is hung with care, but your jingle balls just aren't jingling. Maybe it's because you need to manscape. I'm sure you're familiar with this product. It's a Lawnmower 3.0. It is the personal grooming device that's made for a man, but it's strong enough for a lady. This thing is waterproof. It's rechargeable. You can recharge it with the USB. It is a 9,000 RPM power motored 360-degree dual rotary blade system. I don't even know what that means.
No, you just know that off the top of your head.
It's also self-propelled, which is great for my back.
That will clean out. That's right. It will clean out your nose hairs. That's the weed whacker I'm referring to. But the Lawnmower 3.0, yes, that's great for shaving whatever needs it. They say that 79% of partners who were polled admitted that long nose hair is a major turn off. And of course, if you're combing your hair over from your shoulders, that's a turn off either. So may I suggest that you check out the Weed Whacker for your schnoz and your ears and the Lawnmower for all other regions that could use a little deforestation. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. If you act now, you can get 20% off and free shipping by using the promo code ML at manscaped.com. And if you make a purchase there of any reasonable amount, let's try and shoot for the $50 range, and you send us a copy of your receipt or some sort of confirmation at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. We will hook you up so you can zoom in on a future show and hang out with good people like Ben and Phil and then this motley crew that's here every week. So act fast. The holidays are coming up. We will have our big Zoom fest in let's think about in January or so. But you still have time. So act fast. Manscaped.com, promo code ML. 20% off, free shipping. It gets here in time for holidays. They also have some cool stuff like boxers, a luxury nail kit, the crop cleaner or cleanser, which is a shampoo and a body wash, dye free. And it's actually pretty cheap. And they have all kinds of cool stuff, like some of these wipes that a fellow like Matt Jennings might use when he pulls up to that truck stop and the lot lizard says, I like the cut of your jib, but I'm not sure that I like the aroma coming from your trailer. Well, those crop wipes, those will close the deal for you. That and probably $20. But anyways, that's all at manscaped.com. So please check it out.
Promo code again?
Promo code is M as in manly and L as in
loser. Okay, so and it's
Larry,
right as you're checking out too is where I don't know. I don't know what's going on today, man.
By the way, when's Matt coming on? I need to use the restroom, and I've been waiting.
Oh,
for
you
a
got
while.
time.
Okay.
Probably an hour.
Okay.
So Sarah Fuller gets in the game for Vanderbilt.
Who's Sarah Fuller?
She's a kicker.
No,
you're in trouble for not knowing.
I know.
Gave a halftime speech, made a hell of a boot. Well, not really, but she got in the game. She played Division I football in the SEC, which is also known as the little NFL.
It's not the first time a woman has played Division I football. It's the first time in a Power 5 conference.
First time in a Power 5 conference.
And all she did was squib the kickoff from the second half.
So
what are we debating?
Mark is skeptical as to whether or not this is a wonderful moment, and I think it is. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. Now, I also think that a lot of the people on Vanderbilt are not as good as she is, but it's pretty good.
I just want everyone to know the full story, and it's a very hard thing for her to do because she's going to get a ton of shit. They asked her to kick. Their kickers are out from COVID. They don't have a men's soccer team. Their women's soccer team is very good. So they asked someone to kick. So from that perspective, yeah, that's good. The one issue I have with it is I guess how well celebrated it is. Like, you're not allowed to say that was a pretty lousy kick. It was going to go out of bounds. I feel like you're not allowed to say that. But what drives me nuts is she was named the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week.
So you think that's a participation trophy?
Kind of.
Yeah, I think it's a cool moment. Why do we have to piss all over that? What's wrong with that? And by the way, she wasn't trying to kick it down the field, right? She was trying to not squib it, but
so
kind of put it in a little pocket over there.
Yeah, but
and my understanding,
Vandy was already getting smoked. I think the issue here is not that
she had shown she could kick, right? Though, Mike, and
she's a soccer goalie,
right? But she had been messing around and was kicking from 45 yards.
Can drive
out.
that ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised that they had her squib it.
So
that's why they ask her.
Why is it such a great thing? Refresh me.
Well, because I think that while some jokers want to pay college athletes and want to turn this into a career, I love that we still have genuine moments in these sports. And maybe the question is how genuine this was, but they were totally in need. I mean, when we were talking about this before the show, I said, why didn't they just get a guy from the soccer team? Not that they shouldn't get a woman from the soccer team, but I mean, those boys can kick the ball like nobody's business. You said Vanderbilt doesn't have a men's soccer team. And I remember when I was at Michigan State in the George Perlis era, they would have open auditions for kickers. And there was a woman at the State News who went and auditioned for it. And it was a big gag and a gimmick. And, she booted the ball and didn't get much more than a funny story out of it.
I guess,
but this was a legitimate need. They needed her. This is really cool.
No, that part's fine. But it's not, to me, it's not like females have been trying to knock down the door to playing, college football Division I, and they're just saying no, and she's breaking a barrier. I heard a story, I think it was ABC News, that said it was the biggest football story from the weekend, and I'm like, really? Because we've done, really?
Did nobody watch Michigan State manhandle Northwestern?
Nationally, it was.
Or how
it got more coverage than anything else.
How COVID destroyed all the quarterbacks on the Denver Broncos.
People are looking for. I mean,
but we've done
the
this
world's
before.
on fire right now, man. People are just looking for a tiny little bit of light. You're right. There are women that are trying to get in and go play middle linebacker. But so what? She came in and she kicked the football. It was cool.
Exactly. So what? Why is it being so? To me, it's just being so overly celebrated, and then to hear that she dressed down the team at halftime.
Yeah. So this is where things get a little goofy. I mean, special teams player of the week. That's ridiculous.
Thank you. That's my whole point.
Giving a speech at halftime. Now, actually, if
What she said is absolutely true, by the way.
If the custodian went in there and said, "Hey, Vanderbilt, you all suck," I wouldn't knock it because they do suck.
She was making the point that
where's the spirit?
Exactly. And if you go and did you have kids that played high school ball? You can see, or high school sports of any kind.
No,
I've been to
my daughter played
girls
soccer.
and boys sports in high school. You can see the difference, and that's also from her perspective.
Sure,
the camaraderie, and they're like, "Hey, let's pick each other up." Jim Harbaugh was trying to do that to his team Saturday.
Right. You're absolutely right. Which is he's a joke for doing that too.
Yeah.
No, he's not. The best teams are connected that way.
But I guess my point is that some of this is getting lost in all of this, but I just think it's cool that they had a woman playing the game and they needed her. This wasn't a statement. This wasn't a gimmick. They needed this woman to kick that damn ball.
Well, that's fine.
And if they had ever scored, she might have been able to kick some extra points.
But the larger point of what she was talking about of trying to pick each other up and that sort of thing in a team. I remember when and I hate to call my son out here publicly, my youngest son played basketball and he got pulled one time in a game and he was so mad he went over to the bench and leaned back and his body language is terrible and his arms are spread out. And the coach was furious with him because he wasn't engaged in the game. That's what she's talking about.
That's the coach. That's not the person that joined the team 4 days earlier.
But her point was right. Don't just think about yourself all the time. That's all she was trying to say.
You've been on a team before, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And a newcomer comes in and starts addressing the team now. That's a little weird.
I don't think it's weird. She was right on.
Okay.
Is she back? Is she coming back this week?
Got the coach fired, so that's good.
Oh, did the coach get fired?
Coach was getting fired anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a gimmick.
Vanderbilt's Owen whatever, right?
Yeah, maybe it was a gimmick then.
Well,
who else were they going to get? They didn't have a kicker. They didn't have a men's soccer team.
You're right, and they couldn't do open tryouts because there's no one on
There's
campus.
no open tryouts.
I mean, it was just sort of a fluky set of circumstances that led
to
this, right?
Nobody of those 125 people that play for Vanderbilt could squib kick like that.
Well, maybe that's why she had to dress him down. Maybe her speech was, all you 125 Goliaths can't kick a ball.
Right, you guys know this, right? She'd been booting 45-yard field goals.
And Sean, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with it.
Where was Kickalicious? Does he still have eligibility?
Mark hates women, apparently.
Yeah, just totally.
Which surprises me. He's such a nice guy.
My point is...
I thought Mike was the misogynist.
He hates soccer.
It's the over-the-top celebration of this, which we've done before. How many more qualifiers are there going to be for the next one? And it's not a thing. Look, she could have tried out for the team and been able to play all year long if she wanted to. That's not the issue. To me, it's just the over celebration of it, where it's like, well, she just did. I mean, she just squib kicked a football. I don't know.
They celebrated for a few days. People are going to move on, and it's not going to be in the news every day for the next year.
Dude, it's Vanderbilt football. This was the highlight of their
who cares?
Season. They suck. The Admirals
and every weekend, like the last 2 weekends, I think there've been at least 15 games that have been canceled. Right, so people are just, it's depressing out there.
The Commodores with Lionel Richie could beat the Commodores. So this was all they had this season. And so yes, should she?
The Commodores new wave?
No, it's old wave.
Wow,
old school.
You like the Commodores?
SKOOL.
Well, I'm
or
glad
you would say SK umlaut over the OL.
I'm glad you guys find squib kicks exciting. So
nobody said it was exciting. It was just kind of a fun, light moment, a little bit different in a time when the world is burning.
Top story of the week.
So yeah,
the
should she have been
for college
SEC
football? Yes. Is it the top story of the week? No, it's the who won the damn election.
Should she be SEC Player of the Week? No,
of course not.
But was it cool? There's no debate about that.
Of course, it was very cool.
Easy room.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Him wanting to play
I'm going to change my Geek of the Week now.
Turning into a geek, or we're turning
Gotta get outside this room for Geek of the Week.
You want me to start?
No, I just want to start. I just want to put a little pause between that beautiful moment and a beautiful man who always steps up, but he kicks it right through the upright. That's Luke Nowacki. Luke for 3. Luke for the extra point. Luke on an onside kick, except Luke's team is never behind. They never have to make an onside kick. And I want to confess a little something about this because it says right here on the paper I have to. You may not be aware of this, but my Kilpatrick royalties don't kick in until the 8th mention of any combination of the words Kwame, Kilpatrick, or Pulitzer. And now we're going to add to that list Lessenberry. So my financial future is looking pretty sweet. If you'd like a similar arrangement, you can either get your own damn Pulitzer or maybe just maybe, call Luke Nowacki with Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. He can help you find a way to provide for your retirement future that may or may not involve reading through mayoral sex messages that Jim Schaefer got. Call Luke at 248-663-4748 because he's not just the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Pac-12, and where
are you going with this?
And MAC Special Teams Player of the Year. He'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
While the always decisive Sean Windsor goes over his choice, he reviews his notes for Geek of the Week. We're going to turn the power mic over to Mark Fellhauer. Mark, are you ready?
You want me to go first? Yeah, I'll
Detroit.
go first.
Sorry, that's a bad.
What?
You don't want to go first? Do you want me to?
Am I supposed to go first, or are you just going to keep talking?
Who's going first?
I'll go first. And my Geeks of the Weeks are all these people on Twitter that are mad at a TV show on a streaming service, Saved by the Bell, that reboot. And they're mad about a joke that was made on that show about Selena Gomez's kidney transplant. For those that remember or don't remember, Selena Gomez needed a kidney transplant. She has lupus. It's a very nice story, and her best friend gave her the kidney. Great story. Wonderful. Glad she's fine. She didn't die. She's not ill. So there was a joke just thrown into Saved by the Bell, which apparently people care about, that some on Twitter thought was just over the top, and you're not allowed to make fun of Selena Gomez or any celebrity in a nice story. And they have been so loud about this and their anger with it that Saved by the Bell has edited the joke out of the show. So it's for all those people that have decided what are jokes and what aren't jokes. That's it. Sean?
Well, I was thinking about Will Cain, who was a ESPN personality, I guess, who recently went to Fox News and starts talking about the election being stolen and fraud and all that, whatever. Yeah, I guess hair and not much else. And then I was thinking about Mark after this last great debate, but I don't want to do that because that's my buddy. And I hate this whole Geek of the Week thing. I'm going to make about myself every week.
Don't be soft.
I'm going to pull El Rekian.
What did Will Cain do? I don't even know.
It's politics. I don't want to get into it. Okay. There's somebody on Twitter calling me out for being a little bit late today. His name is Craig Backus.
Oh, yeah.
Fan of the show, maybe?
Guy. Uh-huh.
Fan of Elric, probably. He says there are two kinds of people in the world, people who show up on time and people with excuses, plan ahead. He's absolutely right. I probably didn't leave, I guess, soon enough, and maybe should have looked at the traffic map. I usually do that. I didn't. No excuses. He's right. I should have been here on time like Elric is every week. I am an enormous geek, and I take responsibility. I want to be in the other camp, Craig, and next week I'm going to be in that other camp, and next week we'll talk about how I fucked up in the upcoming week. There you go.
Wow.
So I'm the Geek of the Week for me.
Would XYZ Jablonski in that band you used to love called Prosthetic Limb agree?
Yeah,
because I think you were in Austin, and then you were in.
I know we can't all stay in Grosse Pointe all our lives. You know what I mean?
You was in
That's
Chapel
good for
Hill.
you. You've got roots. You know what I mean? You've been driving around in a Volvo for 30 years.
So you're the Geek of the Week, but for being late, not for complaining that somebody had their shit paper hanging the wrong way. Okay.
No, I admit. Yeah.
But ML's always a win, so who is it?
Well, ML, it's always going to be somebody else. He'll never look
Mine is by royal decree, and it's Gavin Newsom, the governor of California.
Amen.
California is experiencing some of the steepest increases in coronavirus infections since the pandemic began. This is called.
You can finish. It's not a read.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to be criticized by a guy who made a change on the fly.
From Will Cain to me.
Will Cain? Will Cain, didn't he do Superman? Who was that?
Yeah, that was
Dean Cain. But
Dean Cain, nice head of hair too.
So, we're never going to get back on track.
Okay, so anyways, in California, they've locked down the state because coronavirus is spiking there like no place else. And they've had trouble with coronavirus since the beginning. They were one of the first states to really be plagued by this. They take pride in how aggressive they are in trying to step on the bug. They've shut down businesses. They've mandated masks inside of businesses. They basically are saying, listen, We got to do everything we can to stop this thing from spreading. Well, at the same time, Gavin Newsom and his crew are saying that this is do or die. He was caught by a newspaper inside one of the swankiest restaurants in California, not just not wearing a mask, but noshing and yucking it up with the head of the California Hospital Association and their top lobbyist. So now that my man Gavin, also excellent hair, gets caught, he says, well, actually, we were indoor, but we were kind of outdoors.
Wrong.
Say, what? Then it turns out, no, they weren't outdoors at all. They were near a sliding glass door that opened onto a courtyard. So now Newsy, as I like to call him, is caught for good, dead nuts. And he says, the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted, and I've got to own that. I need to preach and practice, not just preach. So it took him a while, but he says he got it. I guess we'll see. My runners up are also from California and also from the San Francisco Bay Area. Dianne Feinstein, the octogenarian senator who therefore is at very high risk, was caught walking through Congress without a mask on. And Nancy Pelosi, the septuagenarian Californian, got called out because she wanted to have a big welcome dinner for the newly elected members of Congress, presumably Democrats, and there weren't as many tables needed as she would have thought. But she was going to have this in a big room that was windowless, basically the kind of place
Wasn't it the rotunda or no?
You're not supposed to go. Well, I don't think there's any windows in the rotunda.
That's what I'm saying, but I thought
But
it was
the idea was the rest of the country is being told, we got to suck it up to get through this.
Can I piggyback? I can give you three more people. Cuomo said, don't gather for Thanksgiving, and then admitted that he invited his mom and his daughters over and then was caught and said, they're not coming over. Then you have the governor of New Jersey who said the same thing, and then he's caught out to dinner with his family. And then you have the mayor of Denver who said, don't travel, don't go anywhere.
They caught him at the airport.
Caught at the airport.
An hour later, I think, after he made that.
And they wonder why people don't want to listen to those in authority.
Yeah. So here's the deal. We encourage you to wear a mask. We think we've said that from the beginning. We've said that before people knew exactly how scary this is. And now we're looking to cash in on it because we're selling masks and gaiters at drewandmikestore.com. And if you wear that gaiter, I suggest you double it over. An extra layer never hurts.
Thank you for talking again and not reading from a script. It's nice to hear.
But the thing is, we're trying to practice what we preach and we believe it. You lose credibility. You don't help your cause. If you tell everybody else to do something and you do the opposite. So if that describes you.
That describes every parent.
Every parent is a geek of the week.
By the way,
the kids are soft.
I don't care for that guy.
Me neither. Too soft.
I'm going to pretend like you didn't just make my dick go soft.
By the way,
real quickly, just
if you're watching us, you may see us without masks. We are 6 feet apart. We are in a room with a whole room air filter, so we are following.
I can't even see you, actually.
Guidelines. I know, that's the way I like it.
I just wanted to point out Facebook comments here. Don Moore totally agreed with you, by the way, Mark.
Oh, good.
During the debate, Sarah Fuller, and said I just needed another trophy, a participation trophy. And Marie wanted to point out that that's not a sports cast. So good topic, ML.
It's a social justice cast.
Okay.
I'm glad you're reading them and not him. This show would be 5 hours.
Oh.
Besides show length, rates.
Oh, yeah, they're going
rates
down.
Are at all time. Show lengths are at all-time highs. Rates are at all-time lows. If your current mortgage is above 3%, what are you waiting for? You could be saving money. And currently at Hall Financial, almost 70% of all loans don't require an appraisal. So call Hall Financial today to see if you qualify for a no appraisal loan. Believe it or not, closing times have sped up again at Hall Financial, and that's a good thing. That means that they can get your loan closed in as little as 10 business days. Go to our website, that's mlsolvedetroit.com, and click on the Hall Financial link to get started. If you want to give them a call, you can talk to my man, Dan Morrison, or, go to our website. It'll take you to their website, and that way they will know that when you got there, it's because ML sent you. Hall Financial, lower payments, better options, more personal attention. NMLS 1467435. Last week, he was like the house by the side of the road, just waiting for traffic to go by. But today, Professor Matt Jennings is taking a mental health day. He's avoiding the nasty roads, the slick, the precarious, and he's joining us here from his ivory tower with This Week in Soft History. Professor, what do you have to teach us today?
I have a ton of stuff. I just want to know how everybody's doing. First off,
I'm doing well. May I say,
you guys during the week,
you look fantastic in that Soul Detroit long sleeve T-shirt that ships in time for the holidays. Look at that.
Looks pretty nice, don't it?
We're practically
And it fits
giving those
right,
away.
too.
That's right. They come in all sizes.
Mm-hmm. They do.
That's not a shot.
I don't know. It's a double XL. I'm not ashamed.
It's extra learned. That's it.
Oh, that's nice. Should I just start going because everybody else is shutting up?
We're doing wonderful.
Oh, good.
They've each bitten down on that hollow tooth in the back of their mouth that releases the poison gas. So
I
it's
love
just
that
you and me,
how
brother.
engaged you guys are in the first half of the show.
I'm very.
And then as soon as I'm on, everybody just sitting there like,
No, that's not true. You
No,
know
we're
that's
ready-
not true.
we're
I'm just
ready-
trying to keep it moving.
I know.
We're ready to
I'm just
learn.
teasing. Okay, so I should just get started.
Yes. Don't let anybody interrupt
Okay.
you.
In 1832,
You want to get going
the
with this
first-
before somebody jumps in.
In 1832,
Especially when the
first
slick
horse-
roads, you know, as a trucker, it's important to get traction so that you don't fishtail and endanger other motorists.
He's going to fall for it every time.
Trucks don't fishtail; they jackknife.
Ooh, in your face, ML.
All right, I love you. In 1832,
You thought
the
that was
first
going to shut me up?
horse-drawn- Does anybody want to know what's going on in 1832?
They're all dead now.
ML does.
I kind of do.
In 1832, the first horse-drawn streetcar, called the John Mason, carried passengers along 4th Avenue in New York City. The feedback from the passengers was good, citing a smooth ride and comfortable seating with only one suggestion. Was there any way to move the tailpipes?
Was that horse by any chance named Rusty?
Hey, that's a good
I-
reference. That's a
I don't
reference.
know, but he ate a ton of bananas.
No beef
It was-
or honey?
That's a reference from a show in the 90s. So I'm very proud of you.
This is the Mazology.
Yeah, it's Seinfeld.
What did you say, ML? I'm sorry.
We
I
had
didn't
Will
catch
Kane
it.
from Superman, and now we have Rusty
Kane.
from Seinfeld.
Oh, okay.
Just
Well,
power
yeah,
through, Matt. Doesn't matter what he says.
You watch Seinfeld, though, don't you, ML?
I
You were a
used to.
big Seinfeld guy.
Keep going, Matt.
Boy, I can't yes and with any of you guys now, can I?
This is going to be longer than the
All
Drew
right.
and Mike show.
Okay, in 1934, federal agents in Illinois conducted a dead or alive manhunt to track down bank robber and gangster Babyface Nelson and his
yeah.
associates. The trail ended in gunfire when federal agents shot and killed Babyface Nelson, but failed to nab his cohorts. Carl Kitty Wampus Jackson, Charles Who Let the Horse Out Johnson, and Frankie Shit for Brains Poopy Head.
They really knew how to nickname him back then, eh?
Isn't that hilarious? I can see you holding in your laughter.
Clearly.
You've just joined them
Yeah.
on the FBI's least wanted list.
This is when I quit watching Facebook. I think last week someone said this is painful.
Yeah, it is. We love
tend to
pain.
agree.
That was
Yeah.
me.
Power through.
And podcast for two. Exxon and Mobil agreed to one of the largest
Don't jackknife.
corporate mergers.
Keep it straight. Don't jackknife. You taught me
jackknifing.
something.
Okay, I'm going to start over again. Ready? 3, 2,
No,
1.
just pick up where you left off.
Exxon and Mobil agreed to one of the largest corporate mergers in history at an astounding $73.7 billion. Of course, Exxon admitted it would have cost less if they remembered to use the rewards card. Oh, hey, look at the little titter.
It's cute.
Sean is sitting like the statue of David.
Wait, that statue's standing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that
Apparently,
crack is moving up.
it was cold when they sculpted that.
Was that your last one?
You wish. A
Okay.
wing of Queen Elizabeth's palace sustained damages well into the millions when a fire broke out. An investigation determined that the fire was caused by a royal cook who burned the fucking ham.
When was this? What was the date?
I don't know.
I thought this was history.
Something in the 90s.
Okay.
I'm glad that joke went flat immediately. Did you even hear my punchline, Sean?
Yeah, you heard it.
Something
We all
about
heard
a
it,
ham.
unfortunately. Yeah.
He was preparing the
gross.
ham in Buckingham Palace.
we got it.
I heard.
It was an effing ham.
I heard.
Not a being ham.
When I first started this podcast, I was excited about my future in comedy, but I think after the last few months that I've been here, it's time to make sure my pension's going to be all right after 2025.
Yeah, when we started this podcast, I was 20 years old. So, Matt, thank you very much for joining us with those.
Good job, Matt.
Those memorable moments that people will
thank
never
you.
forget,
Thank you,
no
Sean. I love
matter
you.
Happy Thanksgiving,
how
Matt.
hard they try.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Thanksgiving is history.
See you again.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Get it?
I realize we're going a little long, and I just want to apologize on behalf of Mark, who had one more question he didn't want to ask Ben Blackwell.
Yeah, that's what took us long.
This week it's not. So we asked you last week whether you wanted us to return to unearthing new wave golds, bringing those underappreciated tunes from bands that you loved, or finding those bands you didn't know about, but after we show them to you, you're going to love, or if you wanted us to play some new wave holiday music. I will read some of your responses in just a moment, but I will tell you the aggregate was swift and decisive.
Really?
And for those of you who are sick of hearing the same old crap
Amen.
on over-the-air radio, I spent the last week unearthing such a catalog of new wave holiday gems that I was left feeling like there actually is some Christmas music worth listening to. We just don't get to hear it. Aha! Until this very moment, when we are pleased to welcome into room 7609 the Three Wise Men with Thanks for Christmas.
Oh
welcome for Christmas.
The Three Wise Men. Now, the Three Wise Men have been on this show before, performing under their more widely known name, which isn't really a name. It's like a lot of cool people, just initials. And if I haven't given it away like Al Kaline used to during the Tiger trivia game, Al, you gave it away. Mr. Fellhauer, do you know who that was?
I saw it by accident, but I would not have.
Well, then let's wait for Sean.
Yeah, well, Sean.
Let's wait for Sean.
Sean was up in the.
Because I want to add it to my Christmas playlist.
Well,
Sean, do you know who performed that lovely little Christmas ditty?
Wait, where's my mic?
No guess.
Sorry.
Oh, that was Mike's fault.
No idea.
Mike cut the mic.
They go by the Three Wise Men, but it's a real band.
So 3 Elrics?
Oh.
I will give you another clue, Sean. Perhaps this will help you. In the 12 Days of Christmas, there's a partridge in a pear tree.
It would help if I'd heard it. I was
in this band. You
I
were
had to leave
spending a penny.
I had to leave the basement.
Don't make excuses.
He was rehanging the wallpaper.
I had to leave the basement. It takes a while. I'm getting up there. You know
So
what I mean?
this band also has
it's
a
a dribble.
partridge. Does that help?
It's not so much of a stream anymore.
Wait,
It just takes a while.
the Partridge Family?
No.
Oh, I know who it is now. Now that you say that.
Andy Partridge, anybody?
Yes, yeah. But see, I don't hear XTC in that song. Do you?
You don't feel the ecstasy of the season coursing through your loins?
Oh, I didn't know there were going to be more puns.
Oh, I thought you were going to say veins, but it's always got to go down
I
there
hear
for
ecstasy.
you.
You do?
I think Partridge has such a distinctive voice, and it has sort of it's a very melodic, sort of sing-songy tune. And not to say that XTC is sing-songy, because I think that's pejorative, but it has that sort of well-crafted poppy feel that you come to expect from XTC. And I initially, when I said, let's talk about new wave holiday music, I thought, oh shit. One of the reasons I like Room 7609, I can escape what's playing on the airwaves now. There are dozens, if not scores, of outstanding new wave holiday songs out there, some by bands you know, like U2 and Sting, and others by bands that would blow your mind. The Pet Shop Boys, the Waitresses, Sonic Youth. We're going to get to some of these in December, and we won't get to all of them, but we appreciate you bringing more of them to our attention. I'm
just surprised.
I'm really glad
I'm
we're
surprised that these stations that play all Christmas music don't play something like that. Don't play
that's a great song.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. I don't understand why a U2 Christmas song wouldn't be played ad nauseum.
Yeah, because the refrain is screw the English. But otherwise, you could just do a radio edit, right? But the closest you'll get to a new wave holiday song is David Bowie and Bing Crosby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say there's not many that I've heard of.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
Well, the Beatles.
So yeah, John. Well, I wouldn't consider them new wave.
Well, yeah, that's more mainstream.
Yeah, but so
Consider
this is
Bowie new wave.
Oh yeah, Bowie.
Well, I guess
Bowie
that. I guess
oh
that.
my God, he's everything. Actually.
He's everything. Yeah.
He's covered it all, and woken up with all of it. But that's fine. Nobody's here to judge.
I like it. That was a good choice.
A man for all season, a man for all.
Beautiful choice.
You checked both boxes too: Christmas music and a deep cut.
Yeah.
And you talked about your loins, so that's really all 3 boxes.
So
you're covering the show nicely. Good job.
So there we go. We will have more of these new wave holiday tunes for you throughout December here in Room 7609. If you have some suggestions, the floor is open. Please send them our way. And while you're out and about and trying to show your love for Room 7609, please consider doing so with a lovely and reasonably priced Room 7609 vintage keychain. It's just some of the many great products you can find in our online store
that you've mentioned 8 times.
Oh yeah, sorry. Hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts,
is it getting dark outside, Mark? My goodness.
Masks, gaiters, keychains, t-shirts, hockey jerseys, stickers, and signed copies of the Kwame Suit. You can find them all where, Mr. Mark?
DrewandMikeStore.com.
They ship in time for the holidays, so please get in there.
By the aforementioned Joey Marasso.
Mr. Marasso is waiting to bring you joy. You can also support the show by donating. And our deepest gratitude goes to Kristen, in case we forgot to mention her last week. That would have been a grievous oversight because Kristen is a regular contributor to the show. She also likes new wave music and all around seems like a pretty
good person,
cool cat. We're grateful to everybody who gives. By the way, if you are watching us on Facebook, it is Giving Tuesday. That's a time to dig deep and give to good causes like us. So you can do that. How, Mark?
MLSolaDetroit.com. Click that donate button.
Yeah, it's
often.
It's really easy. And the other thing that you can really do to help us, and this is really the thing that helps us the most, is to let our sponsors know that you found out about them by listening to the Soul of Detroit. I know it can be a little, people like me get a little intimidated or a little hung up or uptight by saying, so-and-so sent me. Get over your nerves. Please do.
Just do it.
We
They
really
like talking
appreciate
about
it.
Yeah.
And of course, manscaped.com, promo code ML. Make a purchase, send us proof, and you can zoom into a future show. We promise it will not be as long as this one. We can't promise that it will be better than this one. We also appreciate if you subscribe to the show.
I don't even know anymore.
Share the show, rate the show, and love the show. And we love your feedback at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Tara writes, I vote New Wave Christmas songs. 2 exclamation points.
She wins.
Because she really means it. Love the show. Kelly says, hey, ML, love the show. Was skeptical about soft history, but it's going really well.
I'm still skeptical.
I love Kelly, but now I'm skeptical of Kelly. She says, my preference for December is to go back to hidden new wave treasures, not Christmas music. Keep up the good work. Kelly, we will grant your wish in January.
Yeah, hopefully no more Christmas music.
Mark offers, Mark with a K, I would prefer to hear Christmas covers from new wave bands. There's an album called Rated Xmas that you should start with.
That's a different Mark, not this one.
Yeah.
That's by far the best Christmas album. I will not play it on this show.
Rated Xmas?
Sometimes that Rated Xmas is a little too much even for Drew.
Oh dear. So I take it it's not new wave music. It's
it's Christmas classics with a twist, right, Matt?
Can't we just play the Vince Giraldi trio?
A big twist.
Yeah,
would Brandon have this on his turntable?
Tone it down a little bit, soothing.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I have it, ML, if you want to hear it.
It's a family show.
We'll crank it out next week.
The Manson
Or
family.
just pass out some Quaaludes.
Jason opines, I will throw my vote for new wave Christmas songs. That's something I have never heard too much of. Keep up the good work. Eric pleads. Now, you may remember the proposition I made was new wave Christmas songs, or we go back to new wave gems. And I said I wanted to start with Martha and the Muffins, Echo Beach. To which Eric says, please play Martha and the Muffins, no Echo Beach. Please. John counters, please play Echo Beach. Martha and the Muffins, best song. Finally, Roger checks in with this gem. Hello, I sent you an email a few days ago regarding web development service. Let me know if you're interested. We will send you our price list. So, Roger, great. Don't hang by the phone. Mark, any voicemails this week? Okay. So please, we would love to hear from you. And I mean, literally hear from you. You can be a part of the show by calling 313-288-9070. That's Butterfield 89070. Call, leave a message, be a part of the show. It's that easy. A couple of program notes. We're still waiting to hear back from State Rep Karen Whitsett, who said Kwame Kilpatrick would be freed.
We'll be waiting.
We're still waiting for Kwame Kilpatrick to be freed. Every state has now certified their votes.
We're waiting for the show to end.
And President Trump spent $3 million in Wisconsin on a recount that increased Biden's victory total. Folks, it's time to move on. It's time to come together. It's time to subscribe, rate, share ML Soul of Detroit. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
I love that we wait till 2 hours in till we can finally talk to Sean about what
No, I'm doing great.
He waited till 45 minutes in to finally start talking.
Where's Cyrus? I'm doing great.
No, I want to ask you because, the big, Patricia, and I saw you write about Patricia. You called for him to be fired right after the Thanksgiving game, right? Wasn't that you?
Oh, that was off the Thanksgiving game, yeah.
Yes, after.
And I didn't actually say fired.
Change.
Yeah, I kind of hate that. I mean, it's a tough spot in a way, right? Do you
Is
really
it
want
really?
to call for somebody else's job?
Who
are we, right?
who are we? I mean, there's plenty of jobs, though. They know there's nothing more definitive. And
he was in
measurable
over his head for sure
than wins and losses. And head coaches get paid a lot of money. So you don't have much time to perform. So I don't really feel bad for them.
Well, so that happened Thanksgiving, and then the news broke Saturday, and I wrote the Lions column making the change that I followed the beginning of the fourth quarter from Michigan Stadium when Michigan was getting handed by Penn State. But by the way, this is not a sports podcast. I'm doing okay. I'm here with Mike and my buddy Mark and my boss Mike.
Well, I'm going to ask you more. What's going to?
I thought we could be friends.
I know ML doesn't care, but what happens?
Hard to be friends with your employer, isn't it?
I just like to think of it as your betters.
Okay.
By the way, Sean, I really like the Sean Windsor who's emerged in recent years, now calling for people's heads, but still in sort of a Windsor-esque way. If you were the Terminator, you'd be like, I may return.
It's time to move on.
Well, if people
I wrote it's time to move on, right?
Yes.
No, but you didn't say, you're like, I don't want to say I fired him. I just think it's time to. No, fire him! Just say it! Say it!
If you want to feel bad for anybody, feel bad about the support staff that doesn't make the money that will be blown out with this. But that leads me to Harbaugh. Is he going to be the coach of Michigan next year?
I think if he wants, I think they'll run it back one more year. It's been a strange.
Is he the coach of Michigan
weird
this year?
No.
He's not showing an enthusiasm, a boundless enthusiasm known to man, or whatever the hell is.
He looks lost. Yeah, he shell-shocked.
Take the Gatorade out of his cereal.
Can you shut up for a second? So why do you think he'll be?
Oh wait! Oh hey! Real quickly, here was my lead.
Sorry, take us out.
Mike, here was the lead.
Go ahead.
Or is it Michael? Or is it ML? God, I get confused. I'm sorry. He was the lead of the Thanksgiving column.
Charlie Duff.
There's nothing left to see, nothing left to say other than this. It's not working. There you go.
No
that's pretty simple.
No, but you're the one a minute ago who said, "Well, I didn't call for him to be fired."
Did you?
I said I didn't use that word.
Oh.
Sorry.
Did you know it was
or maybe
coming?
I did, but
did you know it was coming, or were you surprised on Saturday?
No, I figured it was coming after the way they lost Thursday. I figured it was coming because they did do that after Thanksgiving with Mariucci, Steve Mariucci.
Okay, so Harbaugh, is he going to be on the sidelines of Michigan next year?
I would guess so, unless he loses to Maryland this week. I don't know.
They want his name, right? They want the name.
What's that, Matt?
They want the name. They want that name until they find someone big. He brings in money, like you said last week or a couple weeks ago.
I don't think that's.
He did. I mean, that level's where it is now.
He's had a lot of success in a lot of different places, and I think they want to give him one more chance in a normal year to see if he can. He's got a young team.
I have not heard,
and they don't want to buy him out. That's part of the issue.
I thought I read in the Free Press not too long ago that he finally has the quarterback he's been waiting for, a fella named Joseph Milton. Who would have typed that into a computer?
Okay, great. Laugh all you want. I'm talking about going forward. Then why are they worried about a buyout? How much is a buyout? $9 million?
Something like that.
$9 million for an athletic department that brings in $155 million.
It has not this year. That's had to furlough people. That's had to lay some folks off.
Once again, I don't feel bad for them because they're operating under this nonprofit ridiculous model.
Yeah, but that's
where
not
they
even
can't save their money.
The way you buy out a team, a coach, is you go to the boosters and you say, "Can you put together a pool for us?"
Sure.
These are the same guys.
No,
who
that's
bought
how you do it. And
Nick
they
Saban's
might
house and.
All right, so in your because I have not found anybody in the fan base that still supports them. Have you?
But where are the big
shots?
shots?
I got an email from somebody today. I wrote a recruiting column, and they called me Eeyore and pathetic. And
good one.
There are still people that are they want to give them a little bit more time.
Well, we know the players.
I'm sure it's a small percentage.
We know some alumni, some former players, mainly Brian Greasy, has spoke out. Like it's time to move on.
Yeah, he said enough is enough.
Have you heard more of that?
There's some out there. There's a lot of frustration. I think what's confusing to people is the lack of energy. Like he seems like a different person.
Well, he's never had that though. When he gets shell shocked during a game, you see it on his face.
Oh, you do, but
players.
and the
trouble with the snap
and
that
the
look
team,
on his face is
right?
priceless.
But the team doesn't play with that same kind of ferocity it does for a couple of years. So
well,
that's what's confusing.
He's also not a good coach. He's not a good clock manager. He's never been a good clock manager. He has assistant coaches leave all the time.
You take Stanford to a Rose Bowl or whatever it was, and you get or the Orange Bowl, I can't remember, and you get the team to a Super Bowl. You're a good coach.
Oh,
Andrew Luck took him to took Stanford.
Something has happened though.
They were terrible the year before he got there, and he changed it around immediately. Same with San Francisco. He took those players to 3 straight title games, AFC or NFC rather.
So you expect him to be here next year?
The guy knows how to coach. It's just something's off. Something's wrong.
Okay, that's it.
I don't know. He could be.
I want him to stay forever. He's now my favorite Michigan.
I mean, who knows, Mark? Who knows? But anyway, God, this show's yeah,
that's it.
Ponderous, man. It's ponderous.
I mean, ML's itching to leave now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Well, I think we all have things to do, but before I have to go pick up some chocolate-covered chips and then mail them to Nashville.
I have another job to get to.
So, sorry about that.
Yeah, me too.
Which reminds me, that other job is with the Red Shovel Network, which also offers these other fine programs: the Charlie LaDuff's No BS News Hour, No Filter Sports with Eli, Denny, and Bob, and of course the Drew and Mike podcast, where you will see Mark toiling on a daily basis. But it's not really toil because it's something he loves. And now it's time for us to turn to someone we love, not necessarily because we know so much about him and have a personal connection, but because he's always the guy who spares us from any more of this. That would be our friend Cyrus, who always answers the call to take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Hey, take your pants off. It's Swifty time today.
Please be kind to us, for we are but tiny,
humble members of the Soul of Detroit.
I like what you got. Good job. Yeah!